Welcome back, everyone, to Recorder on the Wall, where we are going through every single Redwall book, and Pete's not here today, so the Dibbins are running the show. I'm Jeremy.
Dab, 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 dab.
I'm Matthias, and I'm here to cause trouble and eat all the candy chestnuts and not take baths.
And I'm Katie. Dab, dab, dab.
Adam here. Don't have a childish remark. Sorry.
He's a well-behaved Dibbin. He's such a well-behaved Dibbin.
He is.
Lock him in the infirmary.
So yeah, Pete needed to step out this week. He's out on nature walk and camping and dealing with stuff at St. Ninian's today. So one of those three.
Oh yeah.
So,
well, that still exists as of now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It is mentioned in this book.
That
actually
did get name checked. Yeah.
Yep. So the four of us will be covering Book 3 of Salamandastron, Destinies and Homecomers. All right, let's jump right into it. Unfortunately, we do not have Pete's usual super detailed notes, so if there are new characters introduced, I don't know. Unless they're major, we're not going to mention them.
The eagle with the very good, very lovely Scottish accent. I guess that's only in the audiobook. But man, the guy who does the Scottish accent is very good.
Yes, he's quite good. The wild McPherson.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so speaking of which, we pick up with Thrug and Dumble climbing a mountain.
Yeah, they got to press square to stay warm.
Well,
Yep.
Thrug climbing a mountain and Dumble hanging out in the backpack.
And of
Dumble
course,
yelling encouragement.
yeah, both of them are unconscious to the beauty around them. I mean, the air is probably thin enough to leave them actually unconscious, so...
But we do get more of Thrug just being completely fearless, because when the Falcons tell him, like, yeah, you need to be respectful or else this eagle's going to totally eat you, and he's massive, and Thrug's like, well, if I have to pretend to be scared of this guy to get the flowers I need, okay.
Yeah. Although once he does see King McPherson, he does think, oh my God, that's a very big bird.
Yes. It seemed like the bird is almost like half the size of Redwall, like just described as giant.
Yeah, because they describe his legs as tree trunks.
Indeed. And I don't know, how big are eagles?
Especially when compared to otters.
Yeah, I always the proportions in these series always has been curious to me as to whether they are factual or just Jake's exaggerating for dramatic effect. Either would be fine. I was just curious about which one it was.
I think a full-grown eagle is about the size of a normal adult torso, minus their head, of course.
All right.
So, I mean, pretty big when compared to a mouse.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I do have to question in this part is, why is Thrug bringing Dumble on the dangerous climb to face the deadly, eagle instead of, leaving him safe and warm in that cavern?
That's a good
Because
question.
There's no babysitting service there.
You could hang out with the Falcons.
Yeah.
I don't trust them. I mean, they're cool guys and all. I mean, they're great bros. But, I mean, seriously, would you trust a baby to a bunch of, rough and tumble warriors? I mean, maybe when he's 5 or 6, but he's obviously 3 years old. No way.
That is true. I was going to say there's not really a parent among them, but I guess, what's his name? McTalon. He's a parent. He's a father.
Laird McTalon.
Laird McTalon, yes.
And yeah, so when he finds the Wild King McPherson, which I like that name, McPherson feels like he's testing Thrug. Like, he threatens him at first, and Thrug just is like, I'm here for these flowers. I'm not here to insult you. And McPherson just goes, what would you do if I refused to hand over the flowers? And he adds, answer true. because he wants to see if like what Thrug will actually do, and if Thrug is that, how dedicated he is. And when Thrug's like, "I'll fight you, I don't care," and McPherson seems genuinely impressed.
Yeah, well, I mean, but he does say, Thrug does say, with all due respect, sir,
Yeah.
forgive me, but I will fight you. And then I don't know, and then Dumble, of course, decides to attack his leg
Yeah,
or
Dumble
his
like
talon.
bursts out of the bag and like, "You leave him alone! Ah! I'll kill you, big dumb bird."
McPherson's like, "What do they feed you over there?" And it's like, "Well, you'll find out pretty soon, dude." And McPherson's actually kind of a nice guy. Like, even when Dumble's just attacking him and everything, he's looking down on him. Like, obviously he's not a threat, but he just kind of starts laughing like, you guys are pretty brave. All right, I'll give you the flowers.
Yeah, I think you broke the ice a little bit, Dumble did. So maybe that's the plot reason why he was came up the mountain. I'm still not sure of the actual in-story reason why Thrug decided it's a good idea.
I guess you could say he broke the Isotor flowers.
Oh.
Well, not wanting to be outdone, Mara in our next chapter decides to threaten to beat up a ghost with a ship paddle.
Indeed.
Yep.
As we cut back to Mara, Pickle, and the Shrews, now on Saturdays at 8:00, and they're hearing "Eulelia."
It's actually pretty accurate to how it sounds in the audiobook too.
Oh, cool. And Mara steps up and is like, "That's nothing. Earthstripe used to do that all the time, right, Pickle? Oh, why are you elbowing me in the Oh, yeah, he totally did that."
Yeah, I think this was a pretty well done moment, like after the shrews kind of go to sleep and they're kind of relaxing, and Mara's just so sad because she's like, if it was more like this, I wouldn't have wanted to leave and all this. And I thought that was kind of a good, like a sweet moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's a little homesick here.
Like the old saying goes, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And so
Right.
she's not quite fond yet, but she's not as stone-hearted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think she's ever going to be fond of Salamandastron, but I mean, you can tell that she wants to get back there to help, but I don't think she said that she'd really never be happy there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I for one look forward to her nice, joyful reunion with all the hares in Earthstripe.
Indeed.
I'm sure it will be absolutely fine.
Yep, because these books are all about happy things, right?
All of them have happy endings, especially the next one in publication order. That has a very happy ending.
What are you talking about? Martin Warrior has the happiest ending in the franchise.
Oh, yes.
If you're a sick, demented monster, it does, I guess. But
Whoa, that was a
That was-
sick demented monster laugh.
I'm sorry? Question mark.
But the next day, it's Mara, Pickle, and Tubgut. Tubgut is like, "Well, you saved my life. I should totally help you now." And all of a sudden, he's just totally amicable with them. Like, "All right, yeah, I totally didn't, try to kill you or throw you into the ocean with the deadly thing and everything, but I'm totally buddies with you."
Well, I mean, if someone saved my life and I was kind of a jerk beforehand, I might be a little bit penitent as well.
Suck
Sure.
up.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Well, I guess, he's not like throwing rose petals on the ground so Mara doesn't have to touch the dirt, so I guess he isn't going totally overboard.
Carrying her around in litter so she doesn't have to walk.
Mara's like, "My feet are tired, Tubgut. Right away!"
No. Pickle on his shoulders, just like, here, I found this truffle on the ground. It's for you.
Yeah, Pickle's like, "Chew my food. I'm tired today."
Yeah, no, that would never happen.
They just kind of cruise around, being like, "Oh, Mr. Ghost Badger, we're not afraid of you." Kind of.
Come out, wherever you are.
And they find an old squirrel that throws cherry seeds at them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And they chase her down, and she calls for backup, and two giant badgers come charging in. And Mara is like, no, I'm totally not going to be outdone by that otter. I'm going to stand up to both of you.
And I just like how like Pickle and Tub kind of step back, like, okay, this is between badgers. We're just gonna we're gonna go away now. Bye.
Pretty much.
Mara, maybe you shouldn't provoke your pseudo uncle into killing you.
Maybe.
Yeah, and I'm surprised she doesn't catch the Earth part of his name right away, which, granted, things are a little hectic right here, but, I mean, that's kind of obvious.
Is this as many badgers as we ever had in one book? Like,
I had written that down a little bit later. Yeah, we have 4 main character badgers in this book, and I believe that's the most we've seen.
yeah,
Sounds right.
I think in Matameo there were 3.
Yep.
Because it was Orlando, Constance, and Alma. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I had the exact same thing written down. Word for word, my notes. With Earthstripe, Earthwhite, Lombud, and Mara, I think we've hit the most amount of badgers in one book at 4. Matameo is a close second with 3, Orlando, Constance, and Alma. I don't think there's another book that we've covered with this many.
Maybe I stole it from you because maybe you brought it up at one point, and I'm just gonna plagiarize that.
Nope. I wrote that in this section of my notes.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well then, get out of my head.
Finally, I'm not the only one.
And so Mara tries fighting Earthwhite, and this goes about as well as you think it would.
Mm-hmm. But he's not too into it. He's like, okay, I'll fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I have
like
a juice box.
I like how the grandma at first is like, fight her, and then she's all aggressive, and then afterwards she's like, oh, come here, Mara, let me help you. It's like, this is an abusive relationship.
Yeah. Mood swings are apparently part of elder badgers' lives.
Yeah.
Actually, they're kind of a part of younger badgers' lives, too, now that I think about it.
They're just part of badgers' lives, period.
Yes. Yeah. And they're like, all right, we won't fight you. Hey, come on and have lunch. And then we have the most anticlimactic moment of finding the black stone of, oh, this old thing? Yeah, here you go.
Yes. Although I will say the lunch they have sounds delicious.
True.
There is that. But yes, I agree. I was like, well, okay. Just going to give her okay. Sure.
I think it also shows Tubgut's loyalty now that he literally could have just grabbed it and been like, now I am the leader.
Yep.
But,
well,
nope.
He is also surrounded by a bunch of badgers that Mara could say, hey, he's not supposed to have that. Take that back. I don't think he wants to fight a bunch of giant badgers.
You're not wrong. And they ask Mara about where she came from, and she brings up Salamandastron and Farrago, and then apparently that's Earthwhite's trigger word.
Yeah, he's triggered pretty hard there.
Yeah, wow.
That's the kind of like the thing that like Earthstripe doesn't remember who Farrago is, but Earthwhite does remember.
Yeah. We do find out Lombud says that she's told him the story multiple times, which I can see that totally didn't scar him for life.
Yes, I'm not sure what sort of parent this badger lady is, but yeah, she's definitely got her own technique going on.
Yep.
So I think when it comes to, Granny, Kid, and now Earthstripe and Earthwhite, I think she was probably more effective as the hunter part, and Dad probably raised their father. She just doesn't seem the sort to sit home and spin flax, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, she does mention when she tells the story that she was a great warrior in her days, so she's part of me just is now thinking of Krega.
Yes.
Yep.
They gotta calm Earthwhite down. They kind of give him a Sister May special here, where it's just like a quick little herbs, like, here, drink this. They'll calm you down.
They're like, is he gonna be okay? The strawberries are magic.
Right.
I see strawberry trees.
I don't know. I mean, he's eventually going to be the Lord of Salamandastron one day, possibly. So, being on drugs is kind of part of that.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, he just seems like he's sort of a man baby.
Yeah, he's like he kind of fills the trope of the beware the nice ones, where
Yep.
he's all nice and friendly, but he's also 3 times the size of everybody, and
Right.
if you anger him, well, I just it's kind of like the thing with the true warriors, they know how to fight. The nice ones don't. So if they get pissed, they don't really know what they're doing, and so they'll probably hurt you more.
Right.
How's that saying go? Demons run when a good man goes to war.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, back at one of the many plots of this book, we have Sam, Kim, and Arula. Now they're on a boat. And Arula, I think, is one of the first, if not the first mole we've met that actually kind of enjoys being on the boat at first.
Yeah, that's true.
But is she a mole, or is she actually a shrew in a mole suit?
Hmm.
A shroll?
It's better
Might
than
as
a
well
moo.
be.
They're off to stop Deathbrush and his tracker rats and get Martin's sword back. And as soon as they hit the rapids, Arula does kind of start freaking out. Apparently they're headed to the Great Lake too. Huh. That's convenient.
Coincidence.
And as they start approaching Deathbrush and his crew, Alpha, the leader of the shrews, just shouts, "There they are over there! In front of us! We're approaching them!" Stealth is not the shrew's strong point.
Nope.
No.
Nor is subtlety.
No. I mean, this isn't exactly on the level of Log-a-Log having the total freak out in like when they're in Asmodeus's lair, but it's not that far behind. And also Alpha was the one that said like, "Oh, we're the more calm and collected shrews."
Well, he did say civilized, so.
Oh, this is true. He said it, he declared all this very loudly in a very civilized manner.
Yes, in a very proper. They are approaching.
Oh my, we are closing in on our enemies, and now they've seen us. Huh.
Oh,
What a
I
problem.
say.
And then cut back to Salamandastron and Farrago hanging out on a rock.
Yeah. He's totally expecting someone to try and kill him while he's in this weakened state. So he tells Sikir, like, "Here, you can sleep in my bed." And I think we can see where this is going.
Yes. Oh man, if Sikir were smarter, he'd be like, nope. I'm good. I'm just gonna go like the farthest away I can possibly be from you. Goodbye.
I feel like the phrase "if insert hench vermin's name here" was smarter is something we could probably say in almost every single book.
That is true.
Yeah. Well, Farrago also read Clooney's 1001 Ways to Avoid Getting Murdered.
And this was, or either that or Clooney read Farrago's book.
I was gonna say because this is before, unless we're doing the thing where all the vermin warlords are like at a council table again, exchanging tips.
Just imagine all of them saying like how they deal with this stuff. Sarmina's like, "I shot him with an arrow." "Yes, we know, Sarmina. You always shoot them with arrows." Now, if you could only start shooting the right people with arrows, you'd actually get somewhere.
This sounds like this could be. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was like,
ahead.
this sounds like this could be like the Kingdom Heartsy type crossover that we could write for the next fan heart, like where all the villains team up against all the heroes.
Yep.
Time
Like
travel.
Mitchell Martin swinging around a keyblade now.
Time travel, causality. What are those?
Oh God.
Now, I just need to point out the chapter art for 32. The hare's feet looks just way too big. They're like uncomfortably oversized, like clown shoe sized.
Yeah, we got some sideshow Bob hairs going on here. The picture is one of the hares stepping in the nets that the villains throw down, and it's just like half the net is being pulled up by this hare's foot.
Okay.
Yeah, though maybe it's Big Oxeye. That's it. That this is supposed to be, and he's supposed to be pretty gigantic.
But the foot itself is like the length of the rest of the leg, top half and bottom half plus knee. It's like
this is
that's
true.
A large foot.
It's about as big as this hare's ears, actually. Now that you mention it. So
wow.
Yeah, this is
So if his ears weren't all floppy, he could actually walk on his ears.
Look, Mom, I'm doing an ear stand.
Doing my ear ups, up, down, up, down. Just 20 more. Up,
forget
down.
leg day. Today's ear day.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember Bugs Bunny doing that in a cartoon. Like, he was doing like his reps, and then he stops doing with his arms, and he keeps doing them with the ears.
Nice.
Yeah, so Farago's like, Sikir, totally relax here. I'm being totally nice, and you're not suspicious at all because you're dumb, and that's why I hired you.
Totally nice. Totally nice, and then totally creepy.
Yep.
And Sikir has been totally nice to him and doesn't deserve this at all.
No, he doesn't. It's nice to see how Farago rewards loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at least it was a quick death, ? But still.
Yeah. Where they bash him over the head and, like, yeah, the two, what's their faces?
Forgrim
and Raptail.
Raptail.
Yep. And, yeah, they bash him in the head with a club twice. And they're like, is he dead? And Farago just walks out and goes, oh, he's quite dead. Just that was like really like just casual goofy Farago, like, oh, he's quite dead. And Farago kills them both.
Gentlemen.
Huh?
Yes. I was just gonna say, he's like, well done, gentlemen. He is quite dead.
He is ready to fight them. He doesn't like just sneak out and stab the both of them. He's just like, yeah, we can fight now if you want. And they run.
Well, he kills
Raptail, yeah, I think
he kills Raptail, which like just kind of walks past. The way I read it is just Fargo walks past him, stabs him, and just like lets him drop, and it's like, yep. And then Forgrin is staring at him. He's like, well, do I kill a fox or do you kill a weasel? And then Forgrin just goes, I'm out of here, and runs. And apparently the fox is not faster than a flying dagger.
Yeah. Does forget that he's a bit of a range fighter too.
Yep. And Farago's like, yep, that was pretty simple. All right. And then he goes to Klitsch. He's like, haha, your plan didn't work. Forgrin and Raptail are dead. And Klitsch is like, what?
Pooh-tail and
yeah.
It's like, whatever.
Yep. I love Klitsch's bravado. It's like, he says, if I wanted to kill you, I wouldn't have failed. And it's like, of course you would say that. But the fact that he brushes it off so casually, but it wasn't him, it's just like, okay, I gotta love this scene. It's great.
Is that like Klitsch is the kind of guy that would write the book if I did do it.
Yes.
But no, Klitsch has already come up with a good plan, and he's like, I'm going to capture some hares because Earthstripe's going to send them out to scout and see what's going on because we're fake retreating. And we've got Oxeye. God, I'm having a bad day with names. Sapwood, thank you. And Pennybright. And they head out, and then all of a sudden, like 5 seconds later, they get captured in nets. And they're like, well, this is quite a pickle. And not the hare pickle.
Not the pickled hair.
Yeah. And we get a new saying in this one. I just wrote, find a Pennybright and pick her up. All day long, you'll have good luck.
Yeah, they literally pick her up and throw her, like, run!
Yep. And Penny Bright makes it back, and I love, as she's running, a gigantic arrow flies past her and takes out a rat. And it's like, oh, Earthstripe's here. And yeah, so Sapwood and Oxeye are captured, and yeah, so that didn't go too well. So we've got Klitsch actually did a good job.
He usually
Yay.
does.
This is true. Like, all his plans so far have worked. I mean, he's questioned Farago a little bit, and honestly, I guess he was kind of right to question the let's tunnel in plan, considering how that went.
Yeah.
And then back to Redwall, which totally forgot there was a Redwall plot going on
Yeah.
in the book titled Salamandastron.
Well, it wraps up
Yep.
pretty quick here, the red wall stuff. Like,
This is
It's-
true.
it does. Like, it's like, oh, it's getting so bad here. One of the minor characters is dead, and oh, now it's better. The flowers are here.
Yep.
Actually,
Yep.
two characters end up dying.
Yes, there was another.
This is true. I actually wrote, I can't remember who Burley was.
Yeah, I had that too.
Yep.
Wait, who's Burley?
It's like, apparently he was some mole, but all right. And then Bremen
Jeremy.
is just casually talking, and then like one page later, Bremen's dead. And I went, I remember you, Bremen. I'm not really broken up over your death.
Yeah,
I wrote that
I
down
don't-
as a question. It's like, Jeremy, Brother Bremen has died. Do you feel bad?
This actually made me sad the first time. It's just really sudden and unexpected. And I was like, oh, I mean, not like devastated, but I was like, oh, Bremen, sad.
Yeah, I think like when I was younger, I definitely felt something there, but now I'm just like, man, just like when Fleetscut died.
I was
Didn't really
gonna say,
care.
is it? Do you care more or less than when Fleetscut died?
I care a little bit more than when Fleetscut died, because Bremen at least, felt bad about, accusing
Being
Sam
a
Kim and
jerk.
everything and treating him
Yeah.
poorly, whereas Fleetscut was just an unrepentant jerk.
Indeed.
And then all of a sudden they're like, huh, I must be coming down with some fever. There's a bird up there. Like, I see it too. Oh my God, it's spreading.
I think Faith Spinney was the only one who didn't end up getting the fever. Like, I think the rest of them got it.
Yeah, I think Fergal didn't.
Yeah, Fergal and Faith. Thrugen was just starting to get it.
Yeah. I did like their reactions, though, when they saw that the eagle was carrying Dumble. And immediately Faith and Thrugen like, I don't care if that's a giant eagle. I'm going to kick its butt for trying to hurt our little infant.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And then McPherson's like, this is a nice nest you got here.
Yep.
But yep, so that wraps that up. Back to all the Earths.
Yeah, it's Badger backstory time.
Yep.
Gotta get the whole story.
Badger.
Mushroom, mushroom.
Mushroom.
Aha. I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And so it's all right. So we've got Lomebud, whose son was Earthhound and married Earthrun. I am hoping Earth is like a surname that she just took.
Maybe.
I think we decided it was like a village tribal name thing.
That works.
Mhm.
I don't,
Is
I don't remember
yeah.
who came up with that, but
yeah,
That was
is-
me.
Oh, okay.
oh, okay. I was gonna
Yep.
say I do not want to steal anyone's idea.
Thief!
Yeah, because we've got
Oh, no.
Earthhound, Earthrun, Earthwalk. Oh no, wait, sorry, Earthclaw. And now we've got Earthstripe and Earthwhite. Those two were kind of on the nose.
Yeah.
And we find out that, yeah, they sent Lomebud the mom and dad sent Lomebud out because they're like, look, we're going to make peace with the weasel. We don't need you bashing his head against a wall. And she's like, oh, all right. You're going to regret it. And she comes back. Told you regret it.
They actually didn't tell her they were meeting with the weasel. He's like, go gather snowdrops for my wife, and she's like, okay, this isn't weird at all.
Well, it did say, she said, I think my son had arranged some sort of meeting with Farago. And she says, though I know now that he only sent me out to get me out of his home, lest I should attack Farago.
Yeah, I don't know. I always took that to mean she figured that out later. But at the time, she was like, okay, I'll go gather snowdrops. And when she came back, she was like, oh, they must have had a meeting.
That's true. Yeah, because it does say, if I had known that Farago was in the area, I would never have gone out into the woodland. Okay, no, that's a good point.
Hindsight is 2020.
Yep. And yeah, she's like, I never knew what happened to Earthstripe, and I just sort of left. Like, all right. Which does bring up how Earthstripe survived all that time in the wilderness and everything, but okay.
Are we to take it then that he just kind of wandered away and learned how to make it on his own?
Sure. I mean, I guess that's kind of what Sunflash did.
Yeah.
He became a feral child. He was raised by wolves.
Okay.
I don't know. It just seemed obvious.
Yep. And and they're like, well, we should. And Mara's like, well, why don't you just still stay here? And Lomebud's like, well, you just told me my grandson is alive and fighting the guy that killed my son. So yeah, I kind of want to do something now.
Yeah.
And so they head back to the shrews and hold up the Blackstone and give it to Log-a-Log, and they're all like, yay! And we find out that a storm is coming, and so they all have to go inside. And at first, Earthwhite scares the heck out of everybody. Mm-hmm. Pickle, who can't remember anybody's name, calls him Earth What's It, and then calls Log-a-Log Log-a-Thing.
Yes.
All right. And Log-a-Log comes with a good idea of gluing Pickle's mouth shut.
Yes.
Which forms one of the best mental pictures in the entire book. Just chasing him around with a pine resin brush, trying to it's like, yes, we don't have to feed you anymore.
And they're all laughing, and he's like, well, why don't you seal up Tubgut's mouth or Earthwhite? And Ashton's like, no, he eats more than both of them put together.
Yeah.
Trust me, I just fed him.
Kind of picturing Pickle looking like Deadpool at the end of the crappy Wolverine movie. Finally found a way to shut you up, eh, Wade?
And does then future Pickle come in and shoot him in the head with an arrow and then just put more arrows into him for a while?
Yeah.
Just cleaning up the timeline. See ya. And even though we're going from a lot of weird, emotional changes here, because we just went from Redwall's almost dying to Redwall's okay again. Then we go from here's my tragic backstory to hey, look, he's chasing Piccolo around. That's fun. To now, now we have the battle on the shrew boats.
Yes. Which is very cool. It's a good fight.
Yes.
Has Samkin with a rapier jumping onto their boat and fighting with Deathbrush and not doing well because Deathbrush is a better fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Sam Kim has done anything with a sword up till now.
No. He's got youthful energy and he's got chutzpah, but it doesn't get him very far because Deathbrush is like, oh, that's a cute little rapier. Slash.
Snapped.
Yep. And but then as this storm is going on and they're in the Great Lake, all of a sudden the Deep Coiler's back and starts eating Deathbrush after knocking the boat over. And Sam Kim, being either brave or crazy or reckless or a combination of the three, dives in after him just to get the sword back.
Yep.
And yeah, they pull him back up and everything's kind of okay. Then the Deep Coiler pops up and takes a big bite out of Spriggett.
Oh, this was sad.
Yeah. And then Sam Kim dives back into the water and stabs the Deep Coiler through its mouth, but then they pull him away and the sword gets lost inside the Deep Coiler and they have to knock him out because he's going completely bonkers.
Yes, and yelling at them and being kind of a jerk.
Yep. And when he wakes up, Alpha and Arula are even like, yeah, you were kind of a jerk and yelling at us and calling me stupid. And he calls her like annoying mole or something. And he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, all right, now go back to sleep. And unfortunately,
Think about what you've done.
yeah, think about
Right.
it. You go sit in the corner of that log boat. But then Samkin wakes up and finds Sprigget, and Sprigget unfortunately dies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wasn't in the story for very long, but he was very likable.
He was just weird in like the best way. Like, I'm gonna eat all these insects.
Yep.
Yum yum.
And he was really nice to Samkin and Arula.
Yeah.
And
Mentor figure.
huh?
Good mentor figure for them.
Yep. And back to Salamandastron, where Farago and Klitsch decide to parlay with Earthstripe, which they're definitely like cunning in this part of, hey, we have your hairs, don't shoot us, listen to what we have to say. But they're also kind of just assuming that Earthstripe won't shoot first and ask questions later.
Right. I think they're depending on his like very high sense of badger honor.
This is true.
Yeah, they know that they're the bad guys and he's the good guy, and he won't let them kill the good guys.
Yep.
It's bad guy handbook #1.
Yes. They're lucky this isn't like that episode of Justice League with alternate Superman that's like, yeah, I liked being the hero. Heat vision.
Oh, Justice Lord Superman.
Yes, exactly. And yeah, they said like, hey, you should let us in and give us your treasure, or else we'll drown your 2 hairs. And Earthstripe makes the comment of, there is no treasure. We later find out something a little bit different, but this does make sense in the long run.
Yeah, when I was first reading this, I was confused. I was like, so he's like, there is no treasure, and it seems like he's totally telling the truth. And then, when we find out later that their spoiler alert is treasure, I'm like, huh, so he was actually lying and he was good at it. I didn't think badgers could do that.
Yeah. And
Well, maybe he didn't know that was treasure, or maybe he wasn't thinking that that's my treasure. No, that's the mountain's treasure.
Okay.
yeah, I think he was looking at it as, it's my duty to protect the mountain and this treasure, because he did ask to be placed, or sorry, spoiler alert, he's going to be placed by it. So I look at it as he's not going to tell the villains that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he wants to, because he like immediately is like, okay, let's do a rescue attempt. And I do like when Klitsch goes over to the hares and he punches Sapwood in the face, like, ha, like, you're so smart. And Sapwood goes, that's kind of a crummy punch. Why don't you untie me? I'll give you a nice lesson.
Yeah, that was good.
And afterwards, the 2 of them are like, well, we should totally try and break free. Well, we've broken free.
Yeah, I wiggled my hands free, and it's like, you should swim. It's like, Oxeye, you could probably swim away. I'll have to fight them to give you time to run away. And I outrank you, so you have to do what I say.
Yeah, Ms. Oxeye's like, here, go on this log.
Yeah.
And
He's got like the spear that they took from him, and he just dives into the fray.
Yeah. After grabbing a ferret, shoving its face under the water, and then stepping on his head while holding him down. It's like, oh, you're just going to drown that dude. Okay.
Yeah, this
Heroic
is where Jake's...
Heroic sacrifice rule number 101. It's not as heroic, but still heroic nonetheless, when the person you are saving is complicit in your sacrifice.
Right.
Yeah, he does knock Sapwood out and then kind of throws him on a log. It's like, all right, see you in like 4 chapters.
And I really thought Jakes was going to kill Oxeye here, but he didn't. Spoiler alert.
Mm-hmm.
Shh, spoilers!
Oh, no, spoiler release.
Yep, and all right, Redwall's back in this book too. So we go from epic escape to, man, really glad that sickness is gone.
What sickness?
The sickness at Redwall.
Yes, I know. I'm
Oh,
just
okay.
being sarcastic.
They were down with the sickness.
Very much
It's
so.
I can't do it, but I know what you're going for there. But yeah,
There you go.
This whole sequence here of them just like eating and everything, I'm like, really I was really happy I ate dinner right before reading this part. Because they've got like hazelnut scones and hazelnut scones.
Were those the ones with the strawberries on them and the honey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yum.
Really wish I'd eaten right before this podcast, but
Scones with honey and strawberries.
Yep.
and they're like, oh yeah, what happened to Thrug? And Thruggins just like, don't worry, my brother's fine. And it cuts back to Thrug going like, hey, can we go beat up some crows?
Mhm.
And as someone
That'd
who's
be
been
fun.
dealing with a bunch of noisy crows out around my place lately, I am totally in favor of this.
You need some falcons.
I know. I should go get some. And back to the island. It's Deep Coiler. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, it's dead.
You know,
Yeah.
Martin's sword delivery service is getting weird. First it was struck by lightning, and now it's inside a giant lake snake thing. What's next? Sparrows and adders?
No.
That's crazy.
That's getting silly.
Yeah. Yeah, Mara's like, hey, there's something in there. Ooh, a sword. And they're like, all right, time to head back. And Mara looks at the sword and suddenly sees Martin's face in it. And I'm just like, this had to be him with making another bet with Gon for me. Like, hey, Gon, check this out. My face is in the sword.
Yeah.
List of things Martin is no longer allowed to do, number 44. Martin is not allowed to use his sword as a carnival mirror. List of things Martin is no longer allowed to do, number 45. Martin is not allowed to use Abbey Warriors to tell others that he performed, number 44.
Because they
It's
do.
like the scene I was like the scene describes Mara looking into the sword, and it made me think of like Thundercats, sight beyond sight.
Well, there was a thunder and lightning storm when the sword first appeared, so you're not wrong.
I like how Log is like, you didn't see his warrior's face in the blade. You probably just saw the face of the guy behind you. And Mara looks behind her and it's like this really old bearded dude. She's like, I don't think so.
Missing most of his teeth, and she's like, yeah, it's totally him.
Yep.
Uncanny resemblance. Ugh.
And they do run into Alpho's crew, and Sam Kim and Mara meet, and Sam Kim just goes, yeah, that was Martin's face you saw on that sword. She's like, wait, what? And he goes, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Yep. And she's like, all right, here's your sword. And he's like, yay, this was also anticlimactic.
Yeah.
And finally, we go back to Salamandastron. Again, this part of the book is kind of jumping back and forth a lot, which, though, I think we go for a while with no Redwall now, right?
Yes.
Believe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
All right. And so
4
in
chapters.
Okay. That's a while. And Earthstripe is not happy and just tells Pennybright, all right, we have 3 apples. Take all 3 and give 2 to the youngest. I don't want to hear anything. And yeah, he's pissed. And just kind of goes up to his forge and leaves everyone alone. And Bart Thistledown's like, well, this is not good. And Penny starts sharing her food with 2 hares, one of which is named Barful. Barful! All right, whatever. I don't know. If I was low on food, I wouldn't be rationing it to the character named Barful. Well,
Alex.
meanwhile, hey, it's Oxeye. That didn't last long.
Oxeye's back.
I'm not dead yet.
He's not dead, even though he jumped into the he jumped into the whole horde of rats, and
Yep, and
somehow he survived.
yeah, he describes it as, yeah, I got knocked underwater and suddenly I was able to swim. And he's like, all right. And they're like, well, you better go tell Earthstripe that you're here, even though you probably should have done that right away before telling us the story. And he's like, oh yeah, good point. Oh, Mr. Earthstripe, I hope you're actually in your room and not going out to make threats against our enemies. You're totally going outside and making threats against our enemies, aren't you?
Yep.
Well, I mean, angry and rational are two words that don't belong together, especially when applied to a Badger Lord.
Yes. Well, a badger, anything, because I mean, Krega has definitely had her
Mhm.
angry, rational moments too.
This is true.
Likewise, honorable and horde leaders don't go together, but honorable and gullible do go together for Badger Lords.
Yes.
Yeah.
Earthstripe challenges Farago and Klitsch to a 1-on-2 fight, and it's like, let's leave everyone else out of it. And Farago's like, yeah, I'll totally do that.
And even the hares are just like, we're not allowed to interfere in this. Even his vermin aren't allowed to interfere. I'm like, come on, guys.
Yeah, with Earthstripe, I'd say it's less him being naive or gullible, and it's more of his crazy warrior blood is roused, and he just wants to fight something.
Yeah, I just don't know why the hares were taken in and not at least preparing for possible sabotage.
They're just dumb.
Or maybe it's a thing where if they show up ready for a fight, the vermin will call foul and say, "You're planning to attack us. No fair." And I don't know.
Get a little like a red flag on the field.
Pretty much.
Yeah, just like when Dumai and Brocktree is like, oh, he cheated. I was trying to shoot him and he moved.
This is true. And so before the fight starts, we cut back to the Gossam, and I like the idea of them finally being like the big cavalry instead of the disposable red shirts that tag along with everyone, aka Madameo.
Mm.
Also, they sing a song here, like there's a war song shanty, and if you are listening on the audiobook, it sounds really good. There's big drums, and their voices really carry. It sounds good.
It does.
Yeah, the songs in this one I liked. Like none of them seemed to stick out as excessive or anything. They were all really good.
I also want to point out here.
I just
want to point out that before we go too far away from them, we do get a brief flashback to the Abbey, and it's Sister Nesternium who points out that Samkim and Arula have both lived at the Abbey since they were orphans.
Yeah.
And it's like, orphans confirmed!
Is anyone really surprised?
No.
Not at all.
And yep, so now we get the battle, and this is a really, really, really good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, at one point, do we get to where Klitsch and Farago actually hug each other?
Not
this
yet.
Somewhere during this fight? Okay, I was going to say, I think that's the first time that has ever happened ever.
Yep. Yeah, it starts off with Earthstrike taking on Klitsch and Farago, and at one point they trip him, so he just sits up and then punches Klitsch right in the chest and takes him out of the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, Klitsch is looking down at like blood on his chest, like, well, I'm done. I'm gonna go home. And I really like also because Farago attacks him with a mace on a chain, and Earthstripe knocks it out of his hands, kicks him away, and then just kicks his weapon back to him and goes, "Pick it up."
Yeah.
Yep.
Of course.
Conflict.
Oh, go ahead.
Conflict resolution by combat rule number 16. If you disarm your opponent, do not allow / encourage them to rearm themselves. End things immediately.
But batter on her.
Yeah, it's like this would be a bit of like demoralizing for the troops to see like that, like the Badger actually gives him a chance and he doesn't take it.
Which it is kind of weird though, because like they keep saying that Farago's an expert with knives. Why is he using a mace?
Mm-hmm.
He's Farago the assassin.
Probably doesn't want to get that close.
Oh, this is true. Well, he can
Maybe.
throw the knives.
Or he has enough bravado that is like, I'm going to be super impressive and try something new in this fight.
Now, I haven't tried this yet, but the YouTube videos swear that this will work.
Right.
You just put a few points into macing and that, and want to use it.
Yeah,
But it's like he does ask for Glitch's help, and so Glitch just calls on the Horde at this point instead of trying to help.
Glitch uses summon Horde.
Yeah.
And Horde summon works, and the whole Horde charges Earthstripe, and holy cow, he's got a fox in his teeth.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's just like they sort of like it's really well described as like they're fighting and like you see like Badger down, he goes down and then he springs back up and then down again, and like I'm kind of picturing it like Scrooge McDuck swimming through the money bin. He just keeps popping up and spitting out little bits of rat
Instead of gold coins.
Just
Yes.
see him spitting up instead of gold coins. It's just like pieces of vermin. Oh, God. That is pretty good.
Life is like a hurricane here at the mountain. No race cars, no that sort of thing.
Eagles, weasels, and
Eagles,
weasels, ferrets,
Corsairs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Where's this joke going? I'm sorry.
Tails. Woo. There we go.
Danger lurks behind you. There's a weasel out to find you.
One more line and it's going to be in your head the rest of the night.
All right. Well,
Too late.
interrupting the battle or Earthstripe's fun essentially. I think this is where Klitch and Farago are hugging each other, like, yeah, they got him. Oh, he's biting that guy. Oh, we got him. Oh, he's using those rats as melee weapons. Oh, we got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, Oxeye and the Hares charge in and drive the giant horde away. And all of a sudden, they're like, oh, wait a minute, there's only like 20 of them.
Yeah.
And I always like these sequences where the Hares do the first rank fire, reload, next rank fire strategy. It's something that shows up a lot in these books, but it's always like a simple, like, but effective way of showing how they deal with larger forces and also how regimented and organized they are.
Yeah, it was Basil in Redwall first, right? That he was instructing the mice on doing that.
Yep. And Earthstripe is kind of Bloodwrath drunk because he's like, no, I totally got this. No, weasels, where's my spear?
And he slowly descends from being in Bloodwrath to Blood Perturbed to just, well, blood.
Yeah.
This is true. Yeah. He's like, I'm fine. I just got a speech impediment. Thump. And an ear infection. And Oxeye just kind of goes, whatever, and kicks him down the front. He literally kicks him and rolls him into the base.
Mm-hmm. But they had to uncover the larger entrance too, so that was like a bad thing.
Yes. And this is, I think, the first time we really see like the main hero's home get overrun.
Yep.
It's like Redwall is captured in Redwall, but it's not like completely, there's not like constant battles going on when they take it over or anything. But we still get a good show from the Long Patrol because they're outnumbered. Their leader is nearly dead, but they know the terrain, and Oxeye gets a good moment to shine as acting commander.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, we've got our shrew boats, and oh look, there's Sapwood.
Yeah, they can kind of see the mountain from there, and they find the half-drowned Sapwood probably. And like it's when Pickle makes a joke at him and throws a little punch at him, and even half-drowned Sapwood still nimbly dodges it and puts him in a headlock.
Yeah.
So Sapwood is awesome.
Yeah. The
Yep.
boxer hairs are always awesome.
Yes. And they're like, yeah, we'll reach there by dawn, but if we push it, we'll get there an hour before dawn. And Lone Bud's like, which do you think I want you to do? Everyone, push it as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And when they arrive, they're like, okay, there's no one outside. Let's go take a look. And they find Bad Tooth and ask him what's going on. And he tells them, and the Earthwhite, and they're like, it just makes me think of the scene from Princess Bride. Fezzik, jog his memory. Sorry, Inigo. I think I jogged him too hard. And so they're like, well, we should totally charge in, and Pickle, go tell the others we're totally charging in recklessly. Okay.
Yeah, it's like Samkin really kind of throws out a battle strategy rather quickly, and it's like being the Red Wall warrior must like automatically transfer some like knowledge and experience because he's never done this before.
Yep.
Either that or it's a trait of being an orphan, but that's up for debate.
No, it's like Martin. He's like, okay, Sam Kim, hold still for a second. I'm going to download all this into your brain. All right, we're good.
I was going to say he's the sword whisperer.
Yeah.
Whoa, I know Battle Fu.
Unfortunately, back inside the mountain, Moonpaw is killed, like going up against the entire horde by herself.
Yeah, she goes down like a champ. It's described that she breaks her dual javelin over one of the enemy's head and then just dives right in, both points in.
Yep.
And
And I like
Pennybright
how
survives again.
Yeah. I was gonna say I like how they refer to Moonpaw as a gallant hare because usually the word gallant is used for men, like male creatures or men, and I like that it's used for her because she is a gallant hare.
Yeah.
And I get some really strong Han Rosie vibes off of her character in this moment.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Just minus the laughing. The laughing was obnoxious.
I liked the laughing.
But outside we've got Elfo's team using sling stones, and then Earthwhite goes lightweights and just starts throwing boulders at people. We get Klitsch freaking out, which this was kind of funny, where he grabs a random horde creature and goes, "Nobody told me about this."
Man, HR. This is the communication issue we're having here.
Well, both sides get caught by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Klitsch actually says, "It's a trap."
Yes, it's a trap. We're trapped.
I actually wrote down, Klitsch, this is no time to quote Star Wars memes.
It's okay, he said it.
Yeah, he heard the approaching shrews, and he's like, "Log-a-log? What's that supposed to mean? It means death if you don't move, you stupid weasel."
It means you're going to get a rapier down your throat. And Earthstripe gets back up again and picks up a hammer, and in 2019, all I can think of is, "Bring me Farago!" Slam. But then Earthstripe, which I'm now convinced that Krega is his descendant, because upon seeing his major adversary, throws his weapon away and just starts strangling him.
Yep. Hug. He gives him a hug.
He gets a patented badger neck hug.
Yep.
Yep. Looks like Earthstripe learned heroic sacrifice rule number 102. Leaping to your death isn't advisable unless you take your adversary with you.
Yes.
Yeah, because he grabs him by the neck, and then as Farago's stabbing him, he just jumps off the top of the mountain, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, stabbing him with both knives, though, so I don't think he would have survived anyway.
Yeah. Because it said that, like, he was already dying, and then he used his last bit of strength to jump.
Mm-hmm.
And then Earthwhite is like, "Wait, I just saw my brother die."
Yep.
And everyone runs. Everyone's like,
Earthquake
"Okay."
makes scary faces. I want to
Yeah.
go home now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they win, but they do find that Earthstripe has died.
Yeah, and the woman who plays Lone Bud, the scream that she gives is just heart-wrenching. Like, the woman did a really good job in the audiobook.
I do like her prying Farago's corpse loose from Earthstripe's hands, and when Sapwood and Oxeye ask if there's anything they can do, and she's like, yeah, toss this thing out to sea.
Yep.
And they actually show, like later, they do show slight respect for Farago's forces by burying them, whereas Farago himself, they're like, forget this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we get the non-reunion with Mara, and there's like the last part of this got to me where she's like, everyone knew you as like the Lord of the Mountain and Earthstripe the Strong. Well, I'm going to give you one more title, Father.
Yeah, and that's the first time we've heard her call him father, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and this just like when I first read this, I think I read this in college, but for some reason I thought since it was a children's book, it had to have a better ending where at least if he was dying, then she'd get to say something to him before he died. But nope. This was a primer for Martin the Warrior.
Yeah. And like, at least in Martin the Warrior, at least Brome got to see Rose and talk to her before she died.
Yeah. Yeah, this was just like so many unresolved things, like so many, like the grandma and brother never got to see him, and Mara never got to apologize even because she probably feels really bad about the way she'd been acting and never got to resolve things with him, and that's probably gonna bother her the rest of her life. Like, hey, I ran away from my dad, and while I was gone, this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Anyway.
sad. It's like I'd like to keep reading this, but I can't do the sudden rain. It's making it difficult for me to see.
It got so dusty in here all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I don't know, allergies, my eyes are really itchy right now.
Yeah.
And, well, on to something a little bit better. So Klitsch is alive and starts stumbling through the mountain and is like, I'm totally going to find my way out. I'm going to head to the southwest. I'm going to take over everything. I'm going to, water. I totally don't remember how we poisoned every little bit of food in here. This should be perfectly safe to drink.
Yep.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, ow. Oh, that feels so. Oh, ow. Oh, good.
Pretty much.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
sounds like a bad death.
Yeah.
It does. And I kind of like how Jake's never really spells this out specifically. Like, he has enough respect for his readers for us to figure out what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He doesn't say, though Klitsch did not know it, or though Klitsch had forgotten the poison that was in this barrel. No, it was just, I wonder what's happening here.
He's having
Yep.
some stomach pain.
Yep.
Yep. And, well, if he would have waited maybe one page, we find that Arula finds a underground spring.
Yeah.
And they're like, now we have fresh water.
I mean, I know
Yeah.
Salamandastron is a place of badgers and hares, but I'll never understand why they don't keep a few moles on retainer for situations like this. More fresh water or digging out. Those are extremely useful situational skills to have. It just, why?
Yeah, or hire an otter navy.
Yeah, get some moles in
Yes.
as independent contractors.
Get some mice chefs. Maybe improve the quality of your food a little bit.
And so they decide they're like, well, we have to figure out where to bury Earthstripe, which is like an interesting sequence because I think this is the first time and only time that I can think of where, besides Martin, there are non-Badger Lords finding Lord Brocktree's resting place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like the carving he left out kind of turned out to be his will, and they find Lord Brocktree, and he's like he's seated like there in his badger armor, and it kind of reminded me of Crom and Conan. Like when in the Conan movie where Crom is found by Conan, and it's again he takes his weapon and that, but yes, you haven't seen Conan.
I haven't. Sorry.
No, I haven't either.
I do like the touch of them finding Brocktree, and there's a bit here I think you could nitpick, which is they say that Brocktree was the first Badger Lord, but I kind of interpret it as he's the first of this era's Badger Lords, where in Lord Brocktree, we find out that he kind of created like the modern version of Salamandastron with the Long Patrol that goes on since. So he was technically the first of those Badger Lords.
He's the first modern understanding of what a Badger Lord is.
Yes.
But he's still technically not the first, and I take umbrage with that.
Brocktree's the guy that you see, like, this post has been edited and it says first on it.
Yes.
First with an asterisk.
Yep. And they do find a treasure, and it's also kind of funny because I guarantee you, even if Farago had taken over, he never would have found this because, first of all, they had to get into the Lord Brocktree room where they had to shift the gigantic wall, and then Earthwhite had to lift a giant boulder just to find this room.
Yep.
It was written in Badger text, Emlor. And it's like Emlor. Stee net there was draw cap. It's written backwards. Roll me. And then he proceeds to not roll the big rock, but lift the big rock. So would that be Tiffil me?
Maybe. I can just.
I don't know. I'm trying too hard.
Picture as he's lifting up the boulder, I can just picture like this buzzer, like, "Meh, you have not accessed the Badger treasure. You have not followed the directions. You have lifted instead of rolled."
It's like Willy Wonka.
He lifts it up and
you
there's nothing
lose. There. You get nothing.
Yeah.
Good day, sir. Yeah, he just lifts it up and there's nothing there. Then he actually rolls it, and then suddenly, there's this treasure there. It's like, how does that work? I don't know.
Video game logic.
Oh, that's what this is.
Yeah. It's like when you play a game where you know what you're supposed to do before, or you talk to somebody, and so you try doing it and it doesn't work. Then you talk to the person and then it works.
Sequence breaking.
Yep. And then we get the ceremony to crown Earthwhite as the Lord of Salamandastron, and it's good, though I do kind of wish Earthwhite would have had more time in the story for his character to develop outside of I'm nice and strong.
And then I'm scary.
Yeah.
And apparently he's good at building armor, and he likes to forge armor, which is going to come back many, many books from now.
Yep.
It kind of reminded me at the end of New Hope where Chewie didn't get a medal.
So as they're all standing there, they're holding their weapons, and Earthwhite just goes.
Works. And there is mention of a feast, but they say it's not very good because, like, apparently the mountain does not have good cooks.
No.
Well, they just said it's plain. It's like plain and simple. Not necessarily that it's bad. It's just not worth pages and pages of loving, detailed descriptions.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't compare to Redwall because nothing compares to Redwall. And if you
Right.
think there is, it doesn't.
Yeah. Honestly, the best cook Salamandastron had was Sunflash.
Yep.
And we then get a really good quiet moment with Sam Kim and Mara just sitting on the side and discussing like what they're going to be doing. And I like Sam Kim talking about Redwall and like how much he loves it as his home. And then as contrast, we get him asking about Mara and Salamandastron, and like her response is very different. She said like, this is my home, but it's never going to feel like one. Like there's too many bad memories here. And Sam Kim is like, well, you could come with me to Redwall. And she's like, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I really like this part.
Yeah. Have we decided in our own podcast canon that Mara is related to Constance in some way? Because I like that.
I don't think we have. I don't know if we have, but yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, I thought we talked about it.
Like great granddaughter or something. That'd be nice.
Yeah. That's my headcanon.
With all the goofy headcanon stuff we've come up with, I think we can have some serious ones too.
Yeah, like Rangavar being Feldo's mother.
Yes. Oh my god, that has to be canon.
Yeah.
And yeah, so they start making their way back, and they see a giant eagle, and he's like, "Hey, I'll totally take you back to help you go back to Redwall." And one extra word, but I saw this and I just thought, follow that bird.
Yep, I had that down too, actually.
But rewind for a moment. Going
Sure.
back, Dumble is basically roping everybody into secretly planning a name day feast behind the abbess's back, making sure that
Yes.
neither she nor Faith knows about it. And it's like Dumble has formed some kind of mafia, and Thrug and McPherson are his enforcers. I'll make you a name day you can't refuse.
Yes.
Except, of course, he's doing it in that Northlands dialect he's picked up. So he's like a Scottish mafia?
Oh, God. I'm just like picturing Dumble now, like if vermin attack. It's like, anyone ever see the A Bronx Tale?
No.
Nope.
Okay. There's a scene, and I just think of Dumble as like the leader of a mafia. There's a scene in it where the mafia in it, these bikers come in and start wrecking up like their restaurant and everything, and they ask them to leave, and they say no. And so then the leader shuts the door and locks it and goes, "Now you can't leave."
You're not locked. I'm not locked in here with you. You're locked in here with me.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
It
I
doesn't
really
end
felt
well
like
for them.
yeah. I really felt like the ending of this book just keeps dragging on, so I thought we could rename it Lord of Salamandastron, Return of the Badger Lord.
It does kind of keep going. I do like the homecoming scene though, where first you have the Abbess and Faith spying like, oh cool, it's Sam, Kim, and Arula, and then they get back to Redwall and they're like, the doors won't open. And when Mara first walks up, like Abbess sees her and it's like, oh, like just she gets all emotional, like realizing who Mara is, and Mara starts bashing on the door and to let them in. And
Mhm.
I just like a little bit later where she says I think she says to the friar, "You've done our Redwall proud," and the Abbess is like, "Did you hear that? She said our Redwall."
Yep.
And I'm not crying, you're crying.
About my red wall?
Oh no.
But
I'm
no,
not sorry.
yeah. I do like the fact that even though there was like a lot of sad moments before this, we do get our happy ending.
Mhm.
And it ends with the epilogue of we find out that Dumble was the one telling the story, and old lady Arula shows up and she's like, "Oh, Dumble's just out there waiting for eagles and falcons."
I thought that was adorable. Like he sleeps
Yep.
outside.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was just before the story, and they also said that it was the eagle who was going to return the sword to the roof. And he's like, an eagle put the sword back up there, and that wasn't in the records? A giant bird!
They were too busy eating at the feast.
Yeah.
One last mistake I noticed in the book, and that's near the end when Thrug, Faith, and the Abbess encounter the homecoming party. It says, let me see, where was it here? That, there we go. The Abbess had managed to compose herself. She placed her paws around Samkim and Arula, protecting them from the curious Redwallers. At that point, they weren't back at the Abbey. There were no other Redwallers there. I don't know how that... Who didn't see this?
I think I read that as Thrug and Faith, but yeah, that is a good point. Like they hadn't actually gotten back to Redwall yet.
Maybe they meant like shrews or something. I don't know.
The shrews knew them though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only interlopers here were MacPherson, the Abbess, Thrug, and Faith Spinney. It's like there's nobody else here. And so curious Redwallers shouldn't technically apply to Thrug and Faith since they already saw them there.
That is true. Well done. I'm not the only one who nitpicks everything. Yay! Finds inconsistencies.
It's not that I nitpick, it's that I saw that and it was like, wait, no, that doesn't belong.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just,
the one thing I had been keeping an eye out for nitpicking was the spring underneath the mountain that was very prevalent in Lord Brocktree. But I like, for me, the explanation as to why it's forgotten is they say that Arula had to dig through tons of stuff just to find it. I'm going with, after years upon years of this thing that's right next to the ocean, plenty of erosion happened and everything just kind of collapsed underneath.
And I thought that was a pool. I don't know if we ever say it's a spring. It's just like this pool.
Yeah. Well, in this one, they kind of refer to it as a spring, but I guess like when it first pops up, you'll see like the water like coming up through it. So they would probably release like all the pressure from it, and so it started coming back. It sprang up, as it were.
Indeed.
Yep. But yeah, that is the end of Salamandastron. Final thoughts, everyone?
I liked it. Like I said, it was a more somber ending than we usually get. I mean, it still had its happy moments. I didn't like this narrator as much as the usual narrator of Brian Jakes, but he was fine.
And now, Pete with his opinions.
Stonepaw, I've never prayed to you before. I've no tongue for it. No one, not even you, will remember if we were good creatures or bad. Why we fought, why we died. All that matters is that we stood against evil, against many. That's what's important. Valor pleases you, Stonepaw, so grant me one request. Grant me revenge. And if you do not listen, then to hell with you.
And me, that would be Papa Pete being a complete nerd since Smith I has brought up Conan the Barbarian, which I have seen and Jeremy hasn't, apparently. So, this book. Yeah, it's a terrible day for Rain. Mara doesn't get to see her dad off or have that final moment, but yeah, it still not as much of a kick in this pants as Martin the Warrior. Alright. This book still remains, if not my favorite, one of the best, because while the Redwall plot kind of bogs down things, it's still good. I mean, you genuinely get the desperation, much less the sheer heart-pounding moments when the vermin actively invade the mountain. But where it falls apart is kind of what's already been mentioned by Katie and the others, is that, yeah, somehow, Sam King just having the sword means he's a good leader, and watching the grandma knowing that her grandson just died and Arthurite just missed his brother, but oops. But I know Brocktree came afterwards, but the whole we don't have water still kind of rubs me the wrong way. This series is noted for more of the mountain than Redwall itself, having very much variable geography, where the Salamandastron and Redwall totally can change shapes and suddenly get different entrances and exits. So if there's one problem, it's I would like a little more continuity. All things considered, this is still one of my favorites. So A+ to it.
Okay, I guess I'm next. So, this, like Bellmaker, for me, has kind of like a different flavor than the rest of the series. I mean, even Mariel of Redwall has a little bit more excitement and high adventure in it. I mean, it's still a very, very good story, but it just feels out of place when you put it up and compare it to all the other books in the series. There's something unusual about it, and they can't quite figure out what it is.
Okay,
And
so it's not just me that feels that way because I was thinking it was because of the audiobook that it wasn't narrated by Jakes and it didn't have Brian Jakes or Mark Jakes in it. And that's why it felt strange. But I mean, I didn't know if it was just that or if it was something about the book itself. But you saying that makes me think it might also be something about the book itself.
Yeah. And then the other half of it being that the Dryditch fever plot just wasn't very strong. It was like an outcast of Redwall, you know, the whole thing going on back at the Abbey where it really doesn't quite hold up, that you could get rid of it and the rest of the story would be fine. The only purpose it has here is to bring an eagle down from the Northlands so that he can find out that, oh yeah, Samkin and Arula are 3 days out. It's like, there must have been a better way to make that happen.
I mean, I did like this plot better than the Outcast plot just because I felt like the characters were more colorful.
Oh, agreed.
But I can see your point. Like, I mean, I cared about all of them, but through the entire arc of the book, yeah, like you said, I don't know if that plot was necessary.
Yeah. So, I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, there's no Redwall book that I would count below a 4. So it's really on a scale of 4 to 6, or not 4 to 6, 4 to 10. A range of 6. I give it a 6.5. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. It's just sufficient. And yeah, I think Earthlight's character could have stood for a little bit more character development if he had been introduced maybe, I don't know, half a book earlier and we actually got to see some of life on the island there before everybody showed up. That could have been interesting. That's my thoughts on the book.
Right. Well, I kind of really liked this book too. I liked how it was in the end there, like it was revealed that Dumble was the storyteller, and just like the mountain being under siege for most of the book was a cool like war story, I think. I liked that.
Yeah, I like that part of it as well. For some reason, like rereading it, I could have, like before I started rereading it, I remembered there being more happening at Salamandastron. Like, as I remembered, like the big bullet points of like, okay, you know, they first show up, the first big battle, and then the poisoning section, and then, you know, then the big moment of like, oh, they captured the hares, and then the big fight. And I could have swore before I reread it, I could have swore there was a lot more to it. Like there were a couple more pitched battles. And I think if they would have cleared out that Redwall plot a little bit more, because like even in Outcast, honestly, we only really saw stuff going on there when Vale and Bryony were there, and then the minute they left, we maybe saw half a page of Redwall after that. Mm-hmm. I think it would have been better if just to introduce Samkim and Arula into the story, like after they go after Ding-Eye and Thura, like Redwall maybe pops up once or twice and that's about it. Like we didn't really need the Dryditch fever plot. And while I definitely enjoyed the Thrug and Dumble sections. And Thrug standing up to MacPherson is a great moment. And then a nice laughable moment when Dumble's like, "I'll kick you," and MacPherson's just laughing at him. You could take that out of the book and they could have pumped up more stuff with Earthlight and done more with the full siege, instead of like, oh, this fever that they're totally going to cure because we know Redwall's not dying at the end of this book.
Right. Because Redwall is the one that comes after it.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I do agree. This one does have like a slightly different feel, kind of like Bellmaker did. And it's weird because this one doesn't have any of the characters from Bellmaker, but it also doesn't have any characters from the book Redwall. It's just in this weird no man's land in between the two books chronologically.
Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what makes it feel weird to me, is because neither the book before nor after makes any reference to any characters in this book, and vice versa. No characters from this book reference any characters from either side of it. So it's just this island, like literally the island in the book it's a good representation because it's like it just comes out of nowhere. It's this weird albino ghost that's just okay. I guess
Well,
that's
there is a passing reference to Mother Mellis, but like one sentence and that's it.
Yeah, and it doesn't even line up with Bellmaker because they say like she went to her well-deserved rest years ago, and it's not. I mean, granted, that's probably their nicer way of recording it in the books rather than after she was brutally murdered by a sea rat.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely feels like because like a lot of the later books, publication-wise, kind of have like each of the after Tagarung, they all have that one-off feel to them. Like it doesn't feel like it's part of a constant story. Like there's no character connecting them, or there's not like we have Redwall, Matameo, Pearls of Lutra, Long Patrol, Marl Fox, and Tagarung all have like characters connecting them along the way.
Yeah.
And before this we had Martin the Warrior, Mossflower, Legend of Luke, Outcast, and even Muriel of Redwall, which felt like it didn't take place that long after those, where we have connections to those stories, and we have like it's even before the sword is put up on the roof, and they mention that Dandin is a descendant of Gonf, and that Ron Blade is a descendant of Sunflash. So like we still have that connection, and of course Bellmaker is the sequel. Then we have this one, and they kind of half mention Mellis, and that's it. And then immediately we go to Redwall, which Salamandastron's not even in any of these books until we get to Long Patrol chronologically again. But, I mean, does not make this a bad book. It's definitely enjoyable. There's a lot of good stuff in it, but it does feel different and kind of disconnected and a little disappointing of the book that's called Salamandastron. A good portion of this book has nothing to do with Salamandastron.
Yeah, it has
a good bit of it does, though.
Oh no, a good bit of it does, but it's just like Mara's quest aside, like that part obviously is very much connected to the Salamandastron plot. You have the Dried-Edged Fever plot, which is completely separate. You have Thrug and Dumble's plot, which is completely separate. You have Sam Kim and Arula's plot, which only links up with the Salamandastron plot near the very end. And so that's like 3 different plots out of the 5 in this book. So like 3 out of 5 plots in this book don't really connect up with Salamandastron very much.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's really more like 3.5 because they do take that deviation to find the Blackstone. And even though it does lead to the discovery of Earthwhite and him making it his way back to Salamandastron, it's like, okay, yeah, it connects, but it feels like a deviation for the large extent.
Yeah. That one is kind of like the half because it's similar to Martin, Gonf, and Dinny's quest in Mossflower going to Salamandastron. Like this is connected to Mossflower, like the main plot going on back there. But it does, granted, actually now that I think about it, that one is way more connected because they're going there to bring something back. Whereas Mara's quest is, hey, we have this side quest we need you to do so you can get back to the main story.
Right. But I mean, it didn't bother me as much as Outcast of Redwall being a complete lie for the first book.
Yeah, definitely it's better with that. And also it's not nearly as bad as we'll get to it, but Loamhedge, which has almost nothing to even do with the original Loamhedge Abbey.
I've got issues with that book for entirely separate reasons that we will go into.
Oh yeah, I think there's plenty of reasons to take on that one, but that one is definitely a long ways away.
Yes.
Yeah. So overall, decent book, certainly different in a lot of ways. And now the second book chronologically where we kind of wanted the Salamandastron story more than the Redwall story.
Yep.
All right. And so next time we are going to be actually for a little bit now, we're going to be taking a break from the books. Next time is going to be our first summer episode, and we are going to do another food episode.
Woo! Yeah. Hooray!
And after that, just we are going to tackle the Redwall graphic novel. And if you are thinking, I didn't know there was a Redwall graphic novel, join the club. But until then, now does everyone want me to do the where they can find us, or would someone else like to jump on it?
By all means.
You do.
Sorry,
You do it so well.
Indeed. I was just gonna say quick, I probably will not be around for the next few weeks just because the Court of Appeals has decided to give me 6 transcripts at once. So just say I'm gonna be back. I'm probably just not gonna be around for the next couple podcasts. Just to let people know.
Yeah, and I'm taking the summer off. So I'll be back probably around the time we start Pearls.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yep, yeah, because we do have something in between the graphic novel and Pearls of Lutra, but I can't remember if we've mentioned it before, so I'm just going to go with we haven't, so I'll keep it a secret for now.
Spoilers.
Would you like me to do the social media, Jeremy?
No, I can do it.
All right.
By rousing majority vote, I shall do it.
All right.
All right. So, you can find us at recorderonthewall.com. We are on iTunes and Google Play Podcast. We are also featured on the Eulalia subreddit, as well as the official Redwall forums. And you can also find us on Twitter. We are at ROTWpod. We also have an email address you can contact, rotwpod@gmail.com.
Hooray!
Woo!
And you didn't pass out, did you? Oh. Okay, well, I guess
Oh, gravity works.
That was Jeremy.
All right. So, Matthias, you're in charge.
Yes, I'm Matthias. I'm your host from now on. Thank you for visiting us on Recorder on the Wall. Goodbye.
Bye.